Today we're going to work on forces problem A. At the top of the sheet they give you the equation, which is force equals mass times acceleration. We want to remind you to use the guess method. So G stands for your given, U stands for the unknown, E stands for the equation, S stands for substitution, and the last S stands for you're going to solve. Number 1. Butch, the 72-kilogram quarterback of the football team, collides with Justin, a stationary left tackle, and they're brought to a stop with a deceleration of 20 meters per second squared. What force does Justin exert on Butch? Okay, so we have 72 kilograms, we have 20 meters per second squared, and we're looking for our force. So I'm going to write those things out. Force is my unknown. My givens are 72 kilograms of a mass, and my acceleration is going to be, it's actually a negative 20 meters per second squared because it's decelerating. I'll write out my equation and I'll plug in what I know. Plug that into our equation, so we'll have 72 times a negative 20. Oops, that didn't work. I'm not exactly sure how to do negatives on here, but we know when we do 72 times 20, it's going to give us 1,440, but we had a negative sign, so we're going to keep that negative sign. Number 2. While playing with the Boston Red Sox, Jim Rice swung a .15 kilogram baseball and accelerated it at a rate of 3,000 meters per second squared. How much force did Rice exert on the baseball? So my force is my unknown. My mass is 0.15 kilograms. My acceleration is 3,000 meters per second squared. I'm going to write out my equation. Substitute in the numbers that I know. So I have 0.15 kilograms and 3,000 meters per second squared. And now I'll calculate. It's going to give me 450. And it's a force, so I know my unit will be Newton. Number 3. If a car has a mass of 500 kilograms and is pushed so that it accelerates at a rate of 2 meters per second, it should be 2 meters per second squared, how much force was exerted? So I'm looking for my force. My mass is going to be 500 kilograms. My acceleration is 2 meters per second squared. I'll write out my equation. Force equals mass times acceleration. I'm going to substitute in what I know. 500 kilograms times 2 meters per second squared. And I'll go ahead and plug that into my equation. (1,000 newtons). And I'll square my answer. Number 4. A .02 kilogram sparrow flying towards a bird feeder mistakes the pane of glass in a window for an opening and slams into it with a force of 20 newtons. What is the bird's acceleration? So this one's a little bit different. We'll write out what we know. Mass is probably the easiest. The mass is 0.02 kilograms. And it tells me I have a force of 20 newtons. I'm looking for an acceleration. So I'll write out my equation, F equals ma, and I'll substitute in the information I know. 20 newtons equals 0.02 kilograms times A. And to solve for A, I'm going to have to divide each side by that 0.02 kilograms. 1,000 meters per second squared is going to be equal to your A. Now you could do two things here. You could memorize that the unit for acceleration is meters per second squared, or if you know what makes up a Newton, you can go and figure that out mathematically. Number 5. Claudia stubs her toe on a table with a force of 100 newtons. What is the mass of the table if it has an acceleration of 5 meters per second squared? So my force, my mass, my acceleration. My force is 1,000. I'm sorry, it's 100 newtons. The mass is what I'm looking for, and the acceleration is 5 meters per second squared. So I'll write out my equation. F equals ma. My force is 100 newtons. My mass I'm not sure of. My acceleration is 5 meters per second squared. And I'm going to divide each side by that 5 meters per second squared. You can go ahead and plug it into your calculator if you're not comfortable. It'll give us 20, and we know that our unit here is kilograms. Again, you could just memorize that, or you could break down newtons and cancel out the other units. That's the whole worksheet. I also noticed that this is where that negative positive key is, in case you were wondering. And good luck.